Okay, we are now recording.
Okay.
All right, want to go ahead on and get started tonight, Reverend King. Always give you that respect because that's a huge role and it means a lot. It means a lot. And the kind of man that you are, I want to thank you for personally allowing me to be on your campaign. It's really an honor.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
I want to thank you for all that you're doing and you're going out here into the general public so people can know you. You're not a you're not a hidden candidate. And so that is why, like myself and Jackie, we've been talking about we need to get Reverend King back on because
Yes.
you are such a example of what people want to see in candidates. You're not doing the mudslinging and all of that. And that's what makes you so enjoyable. Uh, and it shows through your videos, it shows whenever you're live on a platform, it
Yes.
shows you when you're out in the public, you're still the same people. And that's why people gravitating towards you because I believe that what God has for you is for you. And I know that you are not in this campaign by yourself. He's right there in front of you. And so I just want to say that along with other people I've talked to, we really feel blessed to have you as a candidate. And we pray that to be God's will, that you will be the next Galveston County Judge. So just wanted to say that to you. Now I can really welcome you in tonight. So welcome to that.
And I look forward to continuing our dialogue after being elected and sworn in as the Galveston County Judge.
Yes.
And so we want to continue this collaboration.
Yes, thank you, thank you. And you know what? This platform is always open to you. Always.
Yeah, thank you. So
never forget that. So welcome again to Electric James Inspirational Talks, a place where we have real people with real stories.
I'm sorry, puppy.
So your real story is getting ready to be told on tonight, how you want to tell it. So thank you
so
for
kindly.
being here. So
thank you so kindly.
Okay, these segments are conversation with the candidate. So every
conversation with the candidate
is conversations with the candidate.
Conversation with the candidate.
So talk to us.
I am so elated. I'm excited to be with you and Jackie today. It's a privilege always to be on Electric James talk show. It's just a blessing. Your inspirational conversation, informative conversation, and as well as inspirational conversation has truly blessed thousands of viewers around our nation as you are global in your distribution of information. And we're excited to be with you today as well as Jackie. I learned years ago, my dad and mom would always reinforce to their children before leaving home was to remember wherever you go, you represent your mother and father.
Yes.
Daddy says, son, you're wearing my name.
All right.
Wear it with care. Don't mess up dirty my name.
All right.
Your grandfather's name. And so I've learned that I still represent my mom and dad. Their teaching, their upbringing, their character, their personality. And beyond my mother and father discipline and direction and devotion in my life, that I also represent a divine power. I represent God. And so I've got to be careful of what I do, how I do it, when I do it, where I do it. So I can't run a dirty campaign. I can't run a mudslinging campaign because when you throw bricks, when you play in the dirt, you're going to get dirty yourself.
Oh, yes. Oh,
So
yes.
what I've run is a campaign of truth. My name is William Henry King III. I am your candidate for Galveston County Judge. In the 184-year history, no one ever looking like me has ever filed to run or run a campaign for a county judge. 150 years ago, we were freed from slavery. So 34 of those years, people that looked like me were slaves. And so as a result, now is the time. Today is the day that we let our world, our county, our state know that William Henry King III is running for Galveston County Judge, not just because I'm an African-American Black male pastor that's educated and sophisticated, but because I'm qualified.
Yes.
I've served 21 years as a city councilman in the city of Dickinson, mayor pro tem twice, served on the board the Houston Galveston Area Council, been able to serve as chairman of the Houston Galveston Area Council. Now, what does that mean? That means as a municipality council member, mayor pro tem, I've learned how to work with other people. I've learned how to balance budget.
Yes.
I've learned how to provide services to cities. I've learned how to take care of the needs of counties. I've learned how to take federal and state funds to distribute to counties and municipalities so that the citizens are able to have the services and the quality of life entities that they need for the betterment of themselves. Yes. And so as a result of my leadership in the past 21 years as a council member, sitting at the diocese, making decisions, I've built a city hall. I've built a water district facility. I've built a library. I've built a fire station. What does that mean? That means I have the intellectual capacity and the skills to know how to move Galveston County higher than she is right now, to take her further than she's ever gone, to have a vision. Fact about it, I was with a 29-year pastor in Galveston County just about 3 months ago, and he said, you know what? I've never had a candidate articulate a vision for Galveston County since I've been in Galveston County. And I was amazed because I'm running for county judge because I have a vision for Galveston County. First, I want to have flood mitigation resiliency. Flood mitigation resiliency. I want to have economic development sustainability. And I gather these things because I served 10 years in the United States Marine Corps as a combat veteran from Desert Storm, Desert Shield. I have the leadership. I have the skills. I have the ability to work with other people and to synergize for the betterment of humanity. And so as a result, I bring to the table a vision for flood mitigation resilience. Lecture, we live in Galveston County. Galveston County is a coastal county. It's not if a hurricane is coming our way, it's when a hurricane is coming our way. And so I have the vision and the foresight to say, why don't we stop being reactive and start being proactive?
That's right.
I always respond to the devastation and the damages of a hurricane and try to do something to prevent those damages from even occurring. And so my vision brings Galveston County to flood mitigation resiliency. What does that mean? That means that we bring our mayors, our council members, our engineers to the table. We look at the topography of Galveston County. We look at the elevation levels of Galveston County, and we utilize the skill level to create retention areas where we can hydraulically move water so that it does not enter the homes, the businesses of Galveston County. So that we take some of these properties out of the flood map, off of the flood map, so that they're not having to pay high premiums for flood insurance. It just makes good sense. We say to the federal government and the state government, you normally have to disperse billions of dollars to help municipalities and counties recover from flood devastation. We say to them, we can utilize those funds in advance so that we can prevent the damages from occurring, thereby citizens stay in their home. They never have to leave their home. We have to provide housing. They have to worry about providing new reconstruction because their home was never damaged with flood waters. As a result, your county is made the better. The county improves, the county enhances because somebody had a vision. Listen, we have what is called the Ike Dike. We have Ike Dike has saved Texas City. Texas City Dike has saved Texas City on a number of occasions. We take that concept to what is called the Ike Dike, which is the coastal spine. We know the House just passed $31 billion for
Yes.
allocation towards the Ike Dike or the
Uh-huh.
coastal spine. That
Okay.
coastal spine is designed to slow the eye of the hurricane coming ashore that
Oh,
does most of the damages that takes place during a hurricane. So as
all
a
right.
result, that gate closes, and when the gate closes, it prevents the force that the storm surge creates that does the damage to the erosion and the inland businesses and homes and residential areas, flooding neighborhoods and flooding the areas. So it reduces the damages, it slows the storm, and it prevents the kind of damages that we've seen in the past through Harvey and Ike and so forth. And so that vision works. So I have been able to, as a board member of HGAC,
Okay.
working with our Congress, working with our Senate, working with our state governor, working with our state senators, state House of Representatives, to make sure we get those funds necessary to build the Ike Dike, the coastal spine. It just
Yes.
makes good sense.
It
It's good
does.
leadership. And I'm grateful to having served our nation in the United States Marine Corps. I'm grateful to have had the privilege of working on the board of Houston and Galveston Area Council, where we provided funds for citizens to build brand new homes as a result of Ike destruction to our region. And so we are grateful that we can take those skills, take the knowledge, take the collaboration, and let's work proactively rather than reactively for the betterment of our citizens.
Yes.
Secondly, I want to be able to not have flood mitigation resiliency. I want to be able to have flood mitigation resiliency, not just for the Ike Dike, but also to be able to find those topographic areas that provide us with the elevation we need in order to move water off the streets, out of the homes, and into that particular area until the storm passes, the flood waters recede, and then we're able to move the water back into the bayous, the ditches, the gullies, the tributaries, the bays, the Gulf Coast, and back out into the ocean. And that's where the water belongs. But when water falls so fast during a hurricane, many times those tributaries, arteries, does not have the capacity to hold the volume of water, and it overflows its banks. It crests over its bayous, and therefore backs up into the streets, and then backs up into the yards, and then goes into the homes. Now that's where the money is truly calculated in losses, because now you have to rebuild, remodel that home. And so that's the vision I have, Electra. That's the vision I have, Jacqueline, to bring flood mitigation resiliency to Galveston County. Have that conversation. Right now, we're not having that conversation.
We are not.
We're in hurricane season. We're not having that conversation. God forbid that we have a hurricane again. We know what happened recently with Hurricane Harvey. We had Galveston City being called by Galveston County to help evacuate citizens off I-45 bridge in Dickinson. And they had to escort people. Can you imagine? Galveston became a place of refuge during a hurricane.
During a
Typically,
hurricane.
people are leaving Galveston trying to get north. But now they were at that particular moment, and it's true, it's record, they took people to Galveston and they housed them overnight, they fed them overnight, and then they put them on C-130s the next morning at the airfield and sent them to Corpus Christi in San Antonio. Right?
Yeah.
That's a reaction, a knee-jerk reaction that the county was not prepared for. Now,
You know, I have a question, Dr. King. You know, Hurricane Harvey, it was terrible. And do you still find people now saying, oh, we've already had the bad hurricane for our century, we're not going to have another one? Do you find people saying that? They need to believe. We live on the Gulf Coast. We live in Hurricane Central.
Yes.
And I've been hearing people say, oh, don't worry, we're not going to have another Harvey. How do you know that?
Exactly, Jacqueline.
Don't know that.
Exactly. Jacqueline, there's something that many people in our world today, or should I say our nation today, seem to turn a deaf ear to or blinded eye to. It's called global warming. And global warming is creating storms with such magnitude of force and fury that they're getting worse each time we have them. So we see what happened in Kentucky with the floodwaters, the mudslides. We see what happened with the fires. It's one episode after another that's getting worse and worse. And I'm grateful that President Biden is working to try to do something towards global warming, something we can do to reduce and to utilize green energy so we can reduce our global warming. It's real, it's happening. It's time we stop denying the reality that our world is heating up, right?
Yes.
And it's creating, our storms are more fierce, our storms are more forceful, our storms have greater fury, and as a result, more damages are being done. And we're having more storms than we've had in previous years. So Jacqueline is absolutely right. That's thinking, that's bad thinking. All the scientists, all of the professionals have told us and warned us to prepare, right? To get ready, to do what is necessary. It would behoove us to be wise as a serpent, and harmless as a dove, to take heed to the wisdom and the knowledge that's before us today, so that we can try to save as many lives as possible. We saw what happened out on the Bolivar Peninsula when the last hurricane came in. The eye came in there and just leveled. It literally leveled. It flatlined the entire area. And so we must do what is right. Jacqueline, thank you so much for asking that question.
Well, and that's not the only weather event we've had. I mean, Ice-mageddon, as I call it, just 2 years ago. Harvey, a year before that, 2 years before.
Have they gotten that fixed? Reverend King? Is that something?
We were advised recently. Yeah, we were advised recently to conserve our energy. The energy was overloading our system of providing power to our state. Now, you think the governor would have learned the first time that ERCOT did not comply with the requirements and making sure they maintain the equipment so that we can provide the energy to our citizens. You would think they would have learned that a couple of years ago, but
it makes me angry that nobody is on that platform. So I'm so glad you're aware of that, because
absolutely.
I mean, as you know, I live in Harris County as opposed to Galveston County. So I'm sorry I can't grab you and just spread you out over here, but I can't. But I feel like if I can be cognitively aware of all of these issues that you have in Galveston County, we have them threefold. I mean, not threefold, but we have a bigger area that we hit.
Sure.
And we can't ignore them either. We just can't.
Absolutely. Harris County, large county, a very large county. Large county in our call for sure. And so they have to be prepared. And that's why the collaboration is necessary, because even our evacuation system, that the only person in Galveston County that can declare an emergency is the county judge. And so there has to be a collaboration between the Galveston County Judge and the Harris County Judge, because in order for this progress to work, in order for the project to work, you've got to evacuate Bolivar Peninsula, Highland, Jamaica Beach. You got to evacuate Tiki Island, Galveston. You got to evacuate Texas City, Lamar, Dickinson, League City, Santa Fe, Hitchcock. You got to evacuate Kemah, San Leon, Baycliff. And then all that has traffic goes down the arteries of 146, go down the arteries of Highway 3, goes down the arteries of I-45, goes down the arteries of Highway 6. All those arteries lead north, or even 35 for that matter. They all lead north, getting people out of harm's way of the hurricane. And so that collaboration has to be effective so that other counties doesn't flood the thoroughfares, doesn't flood the roadways, so that it leads a backup and you have people stuck on the freeways like we saw several years ago, in which people died out on the freeways because they couldn't get north.
It took me 20. Go ahead. I was going to say it took me 27 hours.
There we go. There we go.
It took us 24.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
It took us 24 to get to Bryan, Texas. 24
So we can't forget that. Jacqueline, Electra, we can't forget what we've been through. We ought to have lessons learned to make sure this doesn't happen again. You know, and so it's important that leadership, and that's what I want to bring to Galveston County Judge seat, is leadership that's common sense, transparent, that's articulated so that even a child can understand it. And so when I say that the Galveston County Judge is the only one that can declare an emergency, that you should never, Electra and Jacqueline, never declare an emergency in Galveston County in order to justify sending federal dollars to the border in order to provide law enforcement to keep people from crossing the border, and justify it with a health issue like the mumps, the chicken pox, the flu, and COVID. And then your county health director is saying that those health issues that are listed in that particular declaration, those numbers are going down. So it doesn't make sense to be a leader and use one document to exercise power to send federal monies that's given to Galveston County to help with people during COVID that can help provide more clinics, more testing,
housing,
more vaccination, more accommodations, more incentives to help people to get the vaccination. So we lower the number of deaths and lower the number of hospitalizations, people who occupy good beds in hospitals where those who are really sick from other issues need to be probably utilizing. COVID did something to our health system we had never seen before. We had hospitals on drive-by because the ERs were filled with patients from COVID.
Exactly. Exactly.
County judge could have did something along that line to help create incentives to have, like Harris County did. They gave away $25 gift cards, $50 gift cards. They gave away free meals, gave away different things as incentives to help citizens to get the vaccination, because if you had the vaccination and you somehow contracted the virus, you weren't hospitalized because your body had what it needed to protect itself against the virus. Listen, I'm a pastor. I'm a pastor. I was a city councilman at the time. I got the virus. So I don't know how I got it, where I got it. I didn't know I had it. I was asymptomatic. But my wife said to me, William, why don't you go get tested? So when I got tested at the VA called me when I left and said, go home, stay home, asked what kind of symptoms I was having, told them I wasn't having any. And they said, well, you're asymptomatic, but we need you to stay home for 5 days. We're going to set you up an appointment for an infusion so that you don't infect anyone else. But because I had been vaccinated, you hear me? Because I had been vaccinated, the virus didn't have the kind of respiratory grip on me. Did not have kind of loss of smell, loss of taste on me that it was having upon other people who had not gotten the vaccination. The judge could have used that kind of leadership. Sat down with the health director, number one, sit down with your health director, get the facts, speak the truth. Don't be dishonest and create something in order to justify trying to follow the man who was once president of the United States and a governor who's trying to be a part of that process.
We need to educate people on the virus. Don't tell them, don't worry. Educate, educate. Because I'm gonna tell you, I recently was in the hospital, Lecter knows, for a week, and I had to sit in the after they got me stable, I had to sit in the emergency room for another like 10 hours because there was no bed for me. There was no place to put me. And when I got up to the floor, I asked the nurse about it. I said, is this a COVID floor? And she said, no, this isn't a COVID floor, but they had to move people around here, there, and here, there, because the hospital is full of COVID. And we don't want anyone on this floor who's tested, who's got it. And so part of my sitting there waiting was to make sure I wasn't, didn't have that too. But it was because of COVID. The hospitals are still scrambling, and we're walking around like nothing's happened. We're walking around like it's over. And it's not over.
We're very
relaxed. And Jacqueline and Electra, on top of that, we're dealing with monkeypox.
Oh,
I was about to say,
that's the newest.
Here we go with that.
And my hats off to Dr. Raymer, Dr. Mouton, UTMB, Dr. Kaiser, Galveston County Health District. They were really working hard. They still are working hard to make sure we have the information, as Jacqueline says, and the education that we need in order to keep our citizens safe. I trust the science and the intellectual leadership and experience of Dr. Raymer, Dr. Kaiser, Dr. Mouton, UTMB, and what they're doing, even with monkeypox in Galveston County, to make sure citizens are educated and aware of what we need to be doing in order to stay safe.
The thing that
Galveston County,
the things that bother me is the fact that people put misinformation or disinformation out there, and they think it's cute because it keeps them in power, and I often utilize this word a lot because it's true. They have a lot of people who are inflexible. When people are inflexible, they don't want change. They don't want nothing
Yes.
different. And that's why you're
Yes.
having to fight so hard for, you know, in your campaign, in this election, along with Beto and a lot of the other ones who are fighting to try to get in positions to help the people. But when people go against their own interests, something that, and I, you know, and I've told you this, I've told Jackie this, I tell people this all the time. My late husband used to say, you got to talk about what the streets are talking about. And the streets are talking about the fear of COVID, the fear of monkeypox, the fear of Roe versus Wade, the fear of this gun violence among our young people and high school dropouts and the crime rates. That's what the streets talking about. The streets is also talking about elderly people that got to make a decision on whether they're gonna eat real food or dog food. That's really happening right here in Galveston County. When you walk into a store and you see an elderly person and you say, oh, what kind of little puppy do you have? You know, like that. But it's really not for the puppy. It's really not for the puppy. And what I'm saying, we have such a huge, so many issues, and the streets are talking. But the beauty of you getting out here, and don't think people don't see you. The beauty of you getting out here is telling people somebody really cares.
Yes.
Somebody really wants to make a difference. And you don't hear everybody because everybody is not getting that opportunity to get, you know, close to you. I mean, that's just like, we know a lot of politicians that's like that. And we and me and Jackie say this all the time, and I know that you say we are better together, and that's true. We not.
That's right. I believe that. I believe that.
Just go vote for a Democrat. Just go vote for a Republican. Just go and vote for an independent. Read up on these candidates and find what they stand for.
Do your homework. Yeah.
And it goes back to the fact of voting. This is my question I'm asking. What is it going to take us to see the importance of voting, and how do we start getting people registered? One of your plans to get people registered, get them educated, and then get them to the polls. What's part of that plan, if you care to share that on tonight? Because some people were asking that question.
Great question, lecturer. And you hit the nail on the head just a few moments ago when you're talking about what the people are talking about in the community. In the barbershops, in the beer shop, in the hamburger restaurants, and what are they talking about at the ice cream parlors? And you hit the nail on the head. Our county judge could have utilized those funds with all the shooting that's taking place in Lamarck and Texas City. Could have used the funds to bring his county sheriff to the table, bring the various agencies and departments in our region to the table, and say, let's create a coalition of law enforcement to come up with a plan to reduce the gun violence that we're having in Galveston County, and reduce the death of mothers having to bury their sons, and fathers having to bury their sons, and children having to bury their parents at the age of 20 and 23 years of age. Could have utilized leadership. Again, just come to the table and bring leadership to the table. And say, let's sit down, let's create a task force, let's create a coalition, and let's create a plan to get these guns off the street, or to have a conversation with these gangs on the street, or do what the Harris County just did, Houston did recently. Buy the guns off the street. Utilize the funds that you have available that's legal to utilize, and say, hey, we're going to have a buyback program. And when you bring your gun, we'll buy it back. No questions asked.
No questions asked. Yeah.
And we just utilize some leadership. All Galveston County needs is leadership. A county judge who's going to be in the office, a county judge who's going to be at the table, a county judge that's going to be among the people, listening to the needs of the people, hearing their concerns. And you have to they're talking about what's happening with all the shooting. They're talking about what's happening with all the death that's taking place in Galveston County through gun violence. And so you hit the nail on the head, Electra, to be able to have a conversation. What will I do? Great question. I'm going to bring leadership to the table. Two, I'm going to meet with us. I'm bring leadership to the table. I'm gonna meet with our superintendents of schools because some of these kids are in school, right? I'm gonna
Yes.
meet with our workforce because many of
Yes.
these people who are out of school don't have a job, and that's what they need is a job.
That's
3,
it.
I'm
That's
gonna meet
it.
with our pastors and our clergy, and I'm gonna bring
Yes.
them together to create a plan that we can meet with, whether you're Crips or whether Brown Assassins or the Bloods, that we're
Yes.
gonna meet with you. We're gonna talk with how we can reduce the
Mhm.
death
Mhm.
created by the conflicts
Mhm.
of interest of these organizations or these
Mhm.
entities that are in Galveston County, and work with our law enforcement to create the stings that if you don't comply, you don't go get your job, if you don't go to school, get your education, if you don't do what's right as positive way, and you get caught up in that lifestyle, then the consequences is you're gonna get caught up in the sting.
Exactly.
And as a result, you would have had options to do better for yourself because I believe we're better together. I
Yes.
believe we can enhance our county by truly working together. And so as a result, I want to bring leadership to the table. I realize that the jails are already filled with people, in many cases to capacity, because we've not had the leadership we need in Galveston.
Yes. And
Reverend King.
okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And about monkeypox and about COVID, I'm gonna continue to work with the Galveston County Health District. Dr. Raymer, Dr. Kaiser. I'm going to continue to work with Dr. Kaiser. I'm going to continue to work with Dr. Raymer with UTMB, health facilitator in Galveston County. They have the facilities, they have the labs, they're doing the studies and the research. So why reinvent the wheel, right?
Yes.
Utilize the people you have that are experts in the capacity for which you are concerned and create a path forward so that we can reduce the number of people contracting monkeypox or COVID. So even as kids go back to school, that we can help make sure they remain in school to get their education, to experience the social element that they need to develop in and to grow in, to have the football games is going to take place in August, September, October, and November, and preferably for December going into the playoffs. So we can work better together. We can truly bridge the divide that has existed in the past. Because of that divide, we have people that are overwhelmingly becoming sick, people who are not going to be able to go to school, people who are getting other people infected in the classrooms. And because of that divide, we're having a greater consequence. So through William H. King as Galveston County Judge, you're gonna have someone that's gonna bring leadership to the table, bring collaboration to the table, create a plan. He who fails to plan, Jacqueline and Electra, he who fails to plan, plans on failing.
That's right.
You fail to plan, you plan on failing.
Yes.
Right? And so what you do is you plan your work and then you work your plan. So that's what William Henry King III will do as your next Galveston County Judge. He will bring leadership to the table. He will bring the services that you need to the county, so the mayors and the cities have what they need, working collaboratively with them. Because when the cities win, the county wins. When the county wins, the city wins. Because we're all part of the same county.
Yes.
Martin Luther King says, I can never be rich as long as you're poor. I can never be well as long as you're sick. I can never be up as long as you're down. I can't be where I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And William H. King as your next Galveston County Judge will help the Galveston County as a whole.
Yes.
I was so excited to hear mayors saying, you're the first person that's visited my office that's even considered running for Galveston County Judge.
Isn't that something?
So that tells me, that speaks volumes to me, that you've been a Galveston County Judge for the last 12 years and you've not been to some of your mayor's office. You've not had meetings with some of your mayors. God Almighty. So I'm going to bring accountability and leadership. I'm going to bring flood mitigation, flood mitigation resiliency, and I'm going to bring economic development sustainability. I'm going to work closer with our chambers of commerce to bring businesses to Galveston County that will enhance the economic development of Galveston County. That helps the municipalities on ad valorem taxes, sales taxes, and jobs. Thereby, we can win the young people who are graduating from our 5 school districts, going off to college, so that when they graduate, collaborating with them in college, collaborating with them in high school, says, I'm going to be studying in this field, and this is where I like to work. So be able to share with the various corporations and companies that we're going to have not only a location for your business in Galveston County, but we're going to have people who are going to be educated, certified, credentialed in your business, so your business can be successful. And we're going to have a place where they can work, stay, and play.
Play.
So we'll be able to collaborate with the housing developers. So to say,
Yes.
these young people are intelligent, they're into technology, smartphones. We got smartphones, we got smart cars, we have smart houses, we have smart air conditioning, we have smart security systems. So young people want smart things so they can see, they can be at work and be able to look at their house. Fact about it, they could be in the grocery store and look into the refrigerator because they got a smart refrigerator. And they can look and see what's in the refrigerator that's not there. And so we want to be able to say to those developers, those home developers, this is what our young people want for their living accommodations. We can say to our business, this is what our young people are looking for their employment purposes. And we can say to those who are business leaders in the entertainment area, for as movies and skating rings and pools, and as far as entertainment areas, this is what our young people want to do with their young wives or with their young children as they raise their young families. This is the quality of life that they want to enjoy. And we want to have all that in Galveston County so that the young people have a place where they can work, play, and stay in Galveston County. That's part of my economic development sustainability. In addition to that, we're going to focus on our veterans. Listen, our veterans have placed their lives on the line. They've gone to war, Afghanistan, Iraq. They've gone and put their lives in harm's way. They deserve to have the things that their nation can afford to make sure they need, that they have. And so they deserve to have it. The nation deserves to provide it. The county judge will ensure that we work to make sure we have a facility that meets the needs of our veterans. Yes, we have a veteran center in Galveston. Yes, we have a veteran clinic in Texas City. So we want to make sure we go beyond just having a clinic. Sometimes these veterans don't have a place to stay and they're homeless. You got to have the leadership to recognize the needs of veterans. And you got to have the leadership to act on it. And you got to have the leadership to bring it to fruition. And that's the kind of county judge William Henry King III will be in Galveston County. You elect me on November the 8th as your next Galveston County judge. And I'll make sure we work on economic development, sustainability, that we bring jobs to Galveston County, that we make a place where our young people can live, our young people can work, our young people can stay in Galveston County. Our grandparents from Galveston County want to drive 500 miles and fly 1,000 miles to go visit their children and their grandchildren. They'll be right here in Galveston County. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
You know, what do you think, Reverend King? One of the biggest problems that I see right now is all the people who say, and honestly, truthfully believe that they can't make a difference. They cannot make a difference.
They vote don't count.
That it doesn't count, so why bother? I was on the bus Sunday, just yesterday. Yeah, actually, I didn't go to church yesterday because I was sick. But last time I was on the bus, this lady standing right there, talking loud as she could, talking about, you're a fool if you think it's going to make any difference. You're a fool. You're a fool. And I didn't want to argue with her, but I started to say, I don't think that's true. I think we have the right to say what we want as people, as citizens.
Yes.
What do we do, Reverend King? What are the right words to say? I don't know. I just don't know. And that's why I'm asking you, what can I do to help people understand that they are individually responsible for what is going on in their government, and everywhere. We talked once before about people don't understand that government is picking up the trash. This is picking up the trash. The people who work at the local substations, we talked about that once before, but there's people who they don't understand. They think that they're an individual entity, I guess. And they're, I don't have to be involved in all this, and you don't have to be involved, and you don't have to be involved, and you don't have to be involved. What do we do? How do we convince them? I don't know.
Great question. Electra asked a portion of that question earlier about what people are saying on the street about voting. Listen, I have a megaphone behind me. And so we've got to get on the megaphone and we've got to echo this particular message. January the 6th was a day that will live in our mind
forever
for the rest of our lives.
Yes.
Our democracy was attacked.
Yes.
And to think that in the 21st century, anyone
Mhm.
would have the mitigated gall, the gumption, the
Mhm.
audacity to attack the democracy that has sustained America to be what she has been for hundreds of years
Yes.
will only give us a motivation to say, we cannot afford to allow this to
Cannot.
happen. We've got to get on the megaphone and say, if you don't realize what took place on January the 6th to take away your liberties, your
Yes.
freedoms,
Yes.
your gift of democracy. And that's why my campaign is restoring democracy in Galveston County, to get
Yes.
back to business of servicing people.
All
People,
of this stuff, the
people must understand
guns,
the way our government democracy works is through voting.
Yes.
That the
Yes.
majority,
That's what
democracy. That
democracy is.
everyone has a voice. And the
Mhm.
same word, Jacqueline and Electra, that we use in the Bible for voice is the
Mhm.
same word we use in the English language for vote.
Yes.
Because your
Yes.
voice is your
Your
vote.
vote.
And that what
Mhm.
you believe in, what you are rooted and grounded and anchored in, what you have built as a character and a personality as a person, as what's right for all humanity, for all people, for our nation, is what you do when you go to the voting polls.
Yes.
You are able to exercise that voice that becomes your vote to say, this is what I believe.
Mhm.
This is what I stand for, and this is what I'm casting my vote for. I believe that 50% of the vote plus one deserves an election. And if Joe
right.
Biden received 50% plus one, he is the president of the United States of America. And to try to overrule that by putting people in position of authority who can override the popular vote is losing your democracy.
Yes.
And
Losing
you
your
as a
democracy.
citizen have to stand up. You as a citizen have to go out to the polls. You as a citizen have to vote.
Say
And
that.
you have to encourage every
Yes.
mother, every father, every sister, every brother that's eligible to vote, to exercise their right to vote, so that we never,
have to experience
ever
that again.
have to face such audacity, a mitigated gall of somebody having an insurrection to overthrow democracy of the United States of America, the leading nation in the entire world. And so
Yes.
I think we must say, and then I want to say this, that's to keep our democracy.
Mhm.
But I go a little bit further than that, Jacqueline. Electra, I go a little bit deeper than that.
Mhm.
I am the grandson of a grandfather who was born in 1858.
Mm.
That was slavery.
Yes.
My dad was born in 1914.
Yes.
His mother's father was born in 1858.
Mm.
My grandmother on my great-grandmother on my mother's side left a story with the editors and reporters who went into the South after slavery to capture the story of the slaves.
Mm.
And she tells a story that the massa is what the word she used, the massa was a mean man.
Mm.
And he told those who had been freed from slavery on his plantation to vote for Dixie Democrats. To vote for Dixie Democrats. You know, they had poll tax.
Yes. Yes.
You had to guess the number of beans in a jar.
Yes.
You had to tell who your great-great-grandparents was. And you know, during slavery, they took blacks and they divided their family. We wonder why there's so much dysfunction. They took wives and husbands and separated them. They took mothers and children and separated them and sold them to different plantations. So many of them grew up not knowing who their grandparents was and not ever having met their grandparents. So they asked questions, idiotic questions that knew there was no answer to by these African-American individuals. And so my great-grandmother leaves a story with the editor that's recorded, it's archived in our records, that the master told these people who are my relatives to vote Dixie Democrat. And because they went to the polls and they voted Republican, because many blacks voted Republican because Abraham Lincoln was Republican, and he was the one that gave the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. Slaves didn't know it in the South until 1865, June 19th, Galveston Island, General Gordon Granger landed, and 2,000 soldiers came on board the island with him to enforce the order of slaves being free. And so as a result, there was still great power that white plantation owners had over freed Africans, Americans that were still working on many of their plantations. And so when they didn't vote Dixie Democrat, he pulled them out of their house. He beat them until they were bloody. And then my great grandmother says that he told the one who beat him to put black pepper and salt in their wounds. When I heard that story, when I read that story, something went through my body. Something
As
went
it
through my
should, as it
being.
should.
Something went through my heart that my great uncle and my great grandmother went through this kind of treatment over the right to vote. They didn't ask them to guess the number of beans. Then ask them to guess the great grandfather. Then ask them to ask those silly questions. Then ask them to pay a poll tax. But they beat them because they voted their conviction. They voted their character.
You know, you look at this and people want to deny that it happened. They say, "Oh, well, yeah, no, that didn't, you know."
CRT, yeah.
They want to deny that it happened. Myself, as a white woman, I need to know this happened, because if I don't know this happened, guess what? I don't vote, and it can happen again. And
say that again.
On January 6th,
yes. That's
started up a whole new set of people who want to oppress the rest of us.
Yes.
And I will do my darndest. Well, I have said to myself, you know, I'll have to move to Canada or something. I don't know. But because, you know, here I am wheelchair bound, but I can run you over. You know, I can definitely run you down. But if you don't understand the link between January 6th and slavery, we need to understand that link, because our entire country is at stake.
Yes, it is.
Still, because they're arguing. They don't, you know, there are still people denying, oh, it was no big deal. Oh, you're making a big deal out of nothing. And they're talking about January 6th. If Elector remembers, she was supposed to come online with her very first podcast that Wednesday.
Sure was.
And we canceled it. We canceled it because nobody was watching anything other than that. And but I felt goosebumps over my entire body of the fear that here we're going right back into a land of oppression. We've worked so hard.
Yes.
And there are people who are saying that's okay. That's okay. We don't need to worry about it. It's okay. No.
It's not okay.
No.
Yes.
Doesn't matter
Jacqueline,
what color your skin is.
Yes. Jacqueline, you saw what happened on January the 6th. But as you all just mentioned a moment ago, when Roe versus Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court, a 50-year-old precedent was overturned by the Supreme Court justices of the United States of America, the highest court in the land. Senator John Cornyn came out and said, why stop at Roe versus Wade?
I know.
Why not go on to Brown versus the Board of Education?
Right.
Exactly what you just said, Jacqueline.
Right.
That means you have the segregation of schools all over again.
It's so scary. It's scary.
It's scary. And that's why we've got to vote to make sure this type of behavior never, ever happens again.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
it is the sin of America. It is the sin of America. It is the worst thing that America could have been a participant of, but it was a participant of in taking people from Africa, bringing them across the sea and selling them on auction blocks, separating families. It was wrong.
It was wrong. It was
never
wrong.
got a 40 acres and a mule, didn't ask for 40 acres and a mule, but that's what it was promised. 40 acres and a mule. Wrong.
Yes.
And I appreciate the leaders that have come forth and said it was wrong. I appreciate the apologies from leaders who said it was wrong. But when we have people that's trying to take America backwards, we have people that's trying to turn back the hands of time, you have to get out and vote. If you're 17 years and 10 months old, you have to register to vote. If you're a high school student, you have to register to vote. If you're
Mhm.
17 years or 10 years of age and 10 months of age, you have to register to vote. If you're in college, if you're working, if you're in the military, you have to register to vote, and you have to vote. You have
You
to make
have to
sure
vote.
you do
Yeah.
what is right as an American citizen, as our civil rights to be able to vote,
Yes.
to make
yes.
sure this kind of behavior, it never
Stops.
happens.
That's
in
Never,
right.
it can never
That's
happen
right.
again.
Well, I hate to.
I mean, just
but-
to think the fact that even Clarence Thomas, married to a white lady, would not
Yes.
have been able to be married to a white lady because
That's
blacks
right.
couldn't marry white.
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
And you
Or-
talk about taking it back, he wouldn't be able to have a wife.
Me
Mhm.
having a best friend, Electra James,
Electric
Mhm.
James.
That- I would be shunned in my
Absolutely.
community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How
They
could
call
that
it
possibly
an
be?
N-word lover. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
right. That's right.
It's,
Well,
it's,
we have had a
Yeah, I'm sorry.
wonderful conversation tonight, and this is gonna be some good segments. So next
Yeah, I look forward to
Monday,
next Monday night.
yes, I'm excited about it. And this is the kind of conversations we need to be hearing from the
Mhm.
candidates, and so it sparks something. So I'm, with your permission, Reverend King, I'm just asking you if this would be okay. If people wanted to come in and ask questions, I can send a link. And then they'll be able to come on and, because it's conversations with the candidate. So me and Jackie
Sure.
would still be on here, but I was gonna ask if they wanna come on, they have to give me their email address. And then I can send the link to them as well. So that
Sure.
way, when you're
Sure.
on, it enhances the conversation and it opens up the dialogue, and it gives you a chance to answer even more questions that people may
Sure.
have.
and these same people, we can also cut them off. So don't, if we
Oh,
need
yeah.
to. So
Not a problem.
yeah,
Not a
Yeah.
problem.
we can cut them off. So,
Yes,
If I
nobody's gonna
may,
let anybody
Jacqueline-
disrespect you.
Sure. If I may, Jacqueline and Electra, I just want to speak to your audience. I know you have thousands and thousands of viewers. I'll speak to your audience. My name is William Henry King III. I am the candidate for Galveston County Judge. I want to encourage you at this very moment to pull out your phone. Go to kingforcountyjudge.com. kingforcountyjudge.com. Check to make sure you're registered to vote. From my website, you can check your voting status. If you're not registered to vote, if it indicates you're not registered to vote, you can register to vote. You can also help my campaign. I need your help. It's not about me, it's bigger than me.
Yes,
This movement, this work that we're in, it's bigger than I am.
yes.
It's for a cause greater than I am. And
mhm.
you are a part of this campaign. And so I want to encourage you to go to kingforcountyjudge.com.
Mhm.
Scroll down to the area of the website that allows you to check your voting status. If you're not registered, register. You have until October the 7th to register to vote in the November the 8th election, 30 days before the election. If you're registered to vote, encourage someone else to go to kingforcountyjudge.com and check their voting status and begin to share with other people in your circle about why you're going to vote. It may be
That's
Roe versus
important.
Wade. It may be Roe versus Wade. It may be the gun laws. It may be the lack of leadership in our county governor's seat as far as Uvalde's shooting is concerned. I'm not sure what motivates you, what moves you, what's your mission, your method, your mindset. But you ought to be driven with purpose and power to get to the polls
Yes.
starting October the 24th through November the 4th.
Yes.
Vote early.
Voters.
And then if you don't vote early, vote November the 8th, election day. And put people in office that represents your values,
Yes.
your conviction, your belief. We left 70,000 votes on the table in the last election. I need you, ma'am, sir, young man, young woman. I need you, if you didn't vote, to vote.
Yes.
Please,
How
please
critical it
vote.
is for you to vote. Go to kingforcountyjudge.com. kingforcountyjudge.com right now and check your voting status.
Yes.
And if you would like, I need your help. Today, we put out signs in San Leon, Baycliff, put out signs in Dickinson and Hitchcock Friday, we put out signs in Santa Fe,
Mhm.
Kemah, Clear Lake Shores. We put out signs in League City and Friendswood. On Thursday, we'll be putting out signs in Texas City, Galveston, Tiki Island, Jamaica Beach, and Bolivar Peninsula. We need your help. I need your support.
How do people get signs from you, Reverend King? Because people have been asking that question.
Great question. Go to my Facebook, go to W.H. King III, W.H. King III 2022. So W.H. King III 2022. And send me a message. Send me a message and say, I want signs. And then you can inbox me and say, I want signs at this address. Now, I've been using my signs as selling to help generate money because I got to raise $100,000. And I've raised about $45,000, $46,000 at this particular point. I still have more money to raise. And so I've sold my signs for $20. They help generate funds. But we have to purchase the signs, so recuperate the cost plus the donation. They help the campaign move a little bit further. So we have thousands of push cards, additional cards to purchase. And I need the donations now because to wait till the last week to bring donations is not enough turnaround time to get the merchandise purchased, made, sent to my office, and they distributed in Galveston County. So now is the time. We're 12 weeks, 12 weeks to election day. So I need your help. I need your help. King for countyjudge.com. Check your voting status, join my campaign, and be a part of a change in Galveston County to bring leadership for flood mitigation, resiliency, economic development, sustainability, accountability, leadership, bringing a place where our young people will not be forgotten, will be placed on the front line where they can work, play, and stay in Galveston County.
Play and stay. I like that.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we're going to
Thank you so much.
And can I say a little reminder?
Go ahead.
If anyone's not sure about how to vote or where to find out your voting stuff, Electra has done interviews with people about all this stuff.
Fantastic.
And all you got to do is go back and look at her previous interviews, and you'll find out all your information. Everything is there.
Love it.
But the easiest thing is just to go to Reverend King's website. So do that. But you can go look at Electra's podcasts, because we have really been trying to get people out and understand the vote. So sorry, I just wanted to throw that in.
That's all right.
Thank you. Great job.
Same place next week, Monday, 7:30 p.m. with further dialogue, conversation with the campaign of William H. King III. And if you want to come on and be a part of the conversation, let us know. Send your email address. And so when we come on, we will give you that opportunity to, if you want to ask some questions that you might not understand. This is why Candidate King is here. He wants you to be informed. We want you to be informed on this platform. So join us. Join us. Now, I am going to say this. As owner of this platform here, we will not disrespect the candidate. We will not do that. We are coming on here to put information out and to respect everybody on the platform, but he is our guest and he is trying to educate us on what he's doing and what he would like to see us do as voters. So we welcome you back on next week, 7:30 p.m. And hopefully me and Jackie can get this technical thing resolved. See you next week.
Yes.
All right.
God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Electra James. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay. Bye-bye.
That was great.